All right, so I want to read from a New York Times article that's looking at emails and more specifically how professors discriminate the bias and the prejudice based off of the names in emails. So I guess if we were forming in terms of research question, are professors more biased towards certain ethnic populations, towards male or female in emails? So basically what the New York Times did was they created a whole bunch of emails, students, and sent it to professors, and they wanted to see what the response rate was.
Okay.
And so just to sort of summarize very briefly the results, professors were more responsive to white male students than to female, black, Hispanic, Indian, or Chinese students in almost every discipline across all the universities that they did this.
Wow. Yeah.
Business had the biggest gap with 87% of white males receiving responses compared with just 62% of all females and minorities combined.
Wow.
So the study really shows that there's a discrepancy in how, and a bias, we should say, in response rate for emails. So you've been teaching for a while now. What is your response? What is your thoughts on the study? Or how do you handle responding to emails? And
You know, when I think about this, it really cracks me up when people already know something and then research like stumbles along with the evidence later on. But people of color have known this for quite some time to say that if you have a name that sounds quote ethnic, then people respond to you very differently than if you have a name that's non-ethnic. And so that's why when you interact with someone who has a really thick accent, no matter where their accent is from, it can be a Spanish accent, it can be a Vietnamese accent, and then they say, my name is Joe, or they say, my name is Becky, or something like that. It's like I always wonder, it's like, is that, I hate saying it like this, but if you have a really thick accent and you are saying something like Joe or John or something like that, I always wonder, is like, what's your real name? Because like I said, people are understanding that that people do discriminate based on your name because it's a signifier of your ethnicity, right? And so black people and Chicano Latinos, I know that we actively do this in naming that there's a population that actively go against the quote the more ethnic sounding names so that their kids won't be discriminated against and things like that. Bad thing is that that's only on paper. because on paper my name is Bruce Hoskins, and so look, there's probably not too many more white names. There's probably not a whiter name than that Bruce. I don't know. You can get better with that. But Hoskins is from England, and so I know that this is something that on paper I look very very white on paper, and then I got the PhD from USC, and people are probably assuming all of my whiteness and all of that, but then they meet me, and then now all of a sudden it gets a little bit awkward because they thought that they were going to be speaking to someone else. And so I wanted to make it clear though that when it comes to like Chicano Latinos, well, they can say whatever first name they want, but it's their last name that normally gives away their ethnicity. While for black people, it's not our last names that normally give away our ethnicity, it's the first name. And so we have more control to whatever degree of naming ourselves and sounding, quote, more white on paper, but there's always going to be the discrimination that happens when you actually are face to face with the people and whatnot, and that you're just like, oh, you're not who I thought was going to be at this interview. And so then things start getting a little bit awkward. But like I said, it's just really cool to me. Not cool like okay, but cool like people of color really are smart and really can pick up these patterns because we've known this for a long time. Now we just have research to back it up.
Right. For me, I think about just the actual process of responding to email. As a professor, I'm getting better. Department chair, I'm getting better and a faster response rate. Right. But I think because as a black student, receiving emails and brief emails and the feeling that I was annoying a professor in my emails or when I wanted to speak with them, it makes me much more conscious. And if I know a student is African American, or if a student is Chicano or Latino or Latina, or if they are of an ethnic minority, it makes me conscious and say, okay, I need to really respond to that and make sure I don't make them feel how I felt. But because I'm doing that for students of color, then it makes me also conscious, well, I don't want to be unfavorably discriminating for them in my response rate. So now
white students are gonna be like, don't take Professor Blackshear because he never responds to my emails.
Right. He'll respond to a black student in a day, but it takes a white student because you don't want that. So then that makes me even more conscious of now I need to respond to everybody, which really works against me because then I end up responding to nobody. Because I got all these emails. I don't want to be discriminatory. So and I think part of it too is just being in sociology. That's sort of the cool thing about sociology. Regardless of where you are, what you teach, just that exposure to how institutional discrimination works, how prejudice works. At some point, we've all had these classes or taught these classes, so it makes us aware.
Yeah, and wrapping that up to just say, you know, we're all preconditioned to this. I guarantee you, if you walked up to any of those professors and said, do you do this? I guarantee you 99% of them are going to say, oh, no, I treat everybody, absolutely not. I treat everybody fairly. And then you get this to say, look, we are conditioned. We're socialized to do this. Please, and if this is something that you wind up thinking about, you got to act on this, right? It's like, be fair to everyone or be fair to no one. And either way, at least you won't be prejudiced when you do it.
Do I have permission to not answer emails?
I didn't say that. Okay.